Hello, my She-Hulk fans, or at least the ones that are still here and are not completely pissed that they baited us with a Daredevil tease last episode, only for him not to show up at all this episode. We're going to be talking about whether She-Hulk has overstayed its welcome, whether it's still good, how people are reacting to it, but also I'm going to be giving you my episode 6 breakdown of She-Hulk, pointing out some Easter eggs you might have missed, really my spoiler review and reaction, but I want to hear from you guys also. I know there's going to be nothing but anger and pain in that comment section of just being so mad the man without fear didn't show up, but I also genuinely want to hear from the people that are enjoying She-Hulk for what it is, because I'm going to tell you guys right now, even though I am a little bummed that Daredevil didn't show up here when they teased him last episode, I had a blast with this episode. Like, I'm really enjoying She-Hulk, and it's so weird that me just saying I like this show causes so much anger from other people going, how could you like this piece of garbage? Look what you did. Like, there really are some people that can't fathom how this is an enjoyable show to some, and it's like, nothing happens, there's no Easter eggs, there's no big earth-shattering events, the show is completely pointless. I feel like you're not watching and paying attention to what's going on and who the main character of this show is. But even then, like you guys know, I still give my fair criticisms, and I do have some criticisms to talk about with She-Hulk and what's going on. So starting off with episode 6 of She-Hulk, we should have known Daredevil was not going to be showing up when we got the little beginning tease recapping the previous episodes. If you're someone who's watched TV for a long time, you know the recap sometimes can even spoil the theme or what the show will be about. And here when they completely ignore the Daredevil helmet tease from the last episode and we're focusing more on Jen, and even brought back glimpses of the wrecking crew attacking her, I knew it was going to be dealing with something else. And specifically what we get in this episode is another day in the life of Jen where she's invited to a wedding. And I love already how the writers knew that this was probably going to piss off some people. Oh, a wedding episode? What the heck? Where Jen responds with,
yes, it's a self-contained wedding episode, and if you think this is happening at an inconvenient time in the season, you're right, because that's how weddings always are.
Showing to me the show knows what it is, and it's just kind of having fun with its audience, I think in a good way. Now, at first, I did think it was kind of weird that Jen showed up at the wedding as She-Hulk, because I thought to myself, she doesn't really like She-Hulk. I mean, that's how it was at the beginning of the season. She didn't want these powers, they were forced onto her, and in her life, she was never going to turn into She-Hulk, she was just going to try and remain Jennifer Walters. But then through the course of a couple of episodes, we're starting to see a life where she not only is accepting She-Hulk, she is preferring She-Hulk because that's what gives her the most attention. It's what's given her a job, it's what's gotten her on dates, heck, it's even what got her out of a court case where she flat out got humiliated and told that Jennifer Walters is a nobody, but She-Hulk is amazing, even though the personalities are exactly the same, and the difference is a big, green, muscular woman. Making it more clear why Jen showed up at the wedding like this, she is now at a point where she sees She-Hulk as her better self and was coming to the wedding to kind of show off and flex that she has a good life right now. Unfortunately though, the bride does have a problem with this and asks Jen not to turn into She-Hulk because it's too much of a distraction, promising she'll stay just as Jen. Bringing us over then to the little side plot we have in this episode where since Jennifer Walters is out at a wedding, her co-workers have to pick up the slack with her cases, specifically a divorce case. But it's not just any divorce case, this is a superhero related divorce case where we get the character of Mr. Immortal. Now this is a guy who you would expect from his name is immortal and has been using his power to just go through several different marriages, and when he's tired of one, he just kills himself, making it so he gets a death certificate, making that marriage null and void, and then moving on to the next one. Now there is a character in Marvel Comics with the exact same name, but that is all they really share is the same power and ability, because it does not seem like it is supposed to be the same character, more of a nod to that character. We also get another Easter egg here where he mentions one of his past wives was named Baroness Cromwell, which is actually a vampire character in Marvel Comics, so that's kind of just a nice little joke right there. Someone who's immortal would marry a vampire that would also be immortal, but with the MCU getting to the point where they're going to start introducing vampires, werewolves, and whatnot, it might be something bigger. And to me, again, this is where I want to mention, it's the harmless fun She-Hulk is providing for me with some superhero flavor that I'm enjoying. We have so much oversaturation of Marvel content headed our way from the movies and upcoming shows. I am actually really liking how She-Hulk is just harmless little fun. So far, the only superhero subplot case that I wasn't enjoying was just the transforming elf. And for anyone who thinks I'm being nice to She-Hulk or some sort of Marvel shill and loving everything they do, go back and watch my review of episode 3. I hate that episode and I tear it apart. But here I kind of like what they did here. This is a sitcom. We're having fun. We're playing with the world of the MCU and their rules. We've gotten to a point now in the world where somebody who's an immortal being who's using that as a way to divorce women is now normal in the MCU. Like, that is such a huge flex compared to other cinematic universes that they can't do. So I actually got a chuckle when in the middle of them trying to figure out how they're gonna fight this case, the man gets frustrated and then just jumps out the window. I thought that was actually kind of funny. But bringing it back to Jen at the wedding, as she's having a miserable time, she looks over and realizes that Titania has also shown up at the wedding, knowing she's only there to ruin her life further. This is again where I'm saying She-Hulk has got me hooked. The first time Titania was introduced in episode 1, I didn't like her character. I didn't like the route they were going with her as a superhero influencer, but the more she is showing up in She-Hulk's life and being an actual antagonist for Jen, being ultimately what she is in the comics, which is a big rival for She-Hulk, it's working for me. I am liking Titania more and more. Bringing Jen outside where she encounters a sweet man who again seems genuinely interested in her. They have a little bit of good chemistry together. Jen even opens up a little more, and this is the point of the show where I'm saying I'm invested in Jennifer Walters, the character herself. This is kind of where I want to make it clear to the people saying, what are the point of the last 2 episodes? What is even going on? Nothing is happening in She-Hulk. I think you're not paying attention to what is going on here. I now see the clear vision to what this entire series is basically about. It's the same situation with Sam Wilson with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The entire point of that show at the end of it was to have Sam Wilson come to terms that he deserves to be Captain America, that he could pick up the shield and be the next leader for the Avengers. That's the struggle that we were witnessing. He rejected the shield, he didn't want it, someone else got it, he had to fight for it back, eventually accepted in, and then became Captain America. Same situation is what's going on here with She-Hulk. Jennifer Walters was forcefully given her powers, same as Captain America. He was forced into that shield when he didn't ask for it. And at the beginning where Jen is saying, fine, but I'm not going to be a superhero, I'm not going to become the Hulk, I'm just going to continue living my life, we are seeing now through the course of the show Jennifer Walters having to deal with all the different sides of She-Hulk that she has to come to terms with, in not only loving She-Hulk, her other half, and embracing it, which is at the point of the show where we are now, which is why she's showing up to a wedding as She-Hulk, because she loves and is embracing that side of her. But now she also has to remember to love Jennifer Walters and embrace that side of her, that is also a side of her that she doesn't need to forget about. But then that's not where it all ends, because if we look at the preview for the Daredevil episode, which will be a crucial part to why She-Hulk decides, I can be a superhero, I can be a lawyer, and I can be Jennifer Walters. Daredevil has this to say to her.
I think you're in a unique position to do some real good. Jen Walters can use the law to help people when society fails them. She-Hulk can help people when the law fails them.
Which is why we probably won't get Daredevil till episode 8. He will tell She-Hulk that she can be a superhero and a lawyer and embrace that side of her, and by the end of this show, we will have a She-Hulk that is whole and complete, loving everything about herself, instead of wasting that time in whatever movie appearance she'll get in the future. And that's why, to me, as someone interested in the She-Hulk character and liking what they've done so far, I am digging the show. I like the story arc that they're going with and the fact that we have 9 episodes to explore this out. And I know I'm truly feeling that way, because the first time Titania and She-Hulk fought in episode 1, I could care less. I was like, what is this? What's going on now? Now, after having seen their rivalry, what she's done to her, everything that Jennifer Walters is struggling with, this little fight at the wedding was so much more satisfying. Actually seeing She-Hulk get in a punch on Titania and then not be made fun of at the wedding and actually embraced, it's character development I'm enjoying. Still, I know there's people out there that want that little taste of MCU Easter eggs, and we do get a pretty big one here, because we find out the way all these wives found out that this guy was immortal and playing them was through a website called Intelligentsia. Now, this could actually be a reference to a villain group in the Marvel Comics that is pretty big. Intelligentsia was a villain group that had all the villains from the Hulk. It was usually led by the leader that we now know is confirmed to be the villain for Captain America 4, along with sometimes other big super villains like MODOK, who is about to show up in Ant-Man 3. But the MCU is taking a bit of a different approach, where it's not necessarily the name of the super villain group, but more like a Reddit website. One of the main points of Intelligentsia was so that those group of villains could come together and share their knowledge so that they can use it to fight against the superheroes. Like at one point, Intelligentsia were the ones who convinced General Ross to become Red Hulk so that they can trick Red Hulk into fighting regular Hulk. And once Jennifer Walters' co-workers sign into this website, they see that there is an an entire thread and page dedicated to hating She-Hulk, where I can't believe this is a sentence in a Disney Plus show. Let me read this to you. Someone just shoot She-Hulk. Why hasn't anyone already done this? It's not that complicated, bro. Kill the bitch already so we can move on. I'm so sick of hearing about this bitch. That is in a Disney Plus series on your screen, and the thing that sucks is that's not even exaggeration. Literally, people feel that way about this harmless, innocent show, and it blows my mind, man. Bringing us to the ending here, where we see someone is spying on Jennifer Walters from afar, receiving a message from someone named the Hulk King that reads, "Is the next phase of the plan ready to go?" Where we see a bunch of scientists preparing, again, another injection, most likely with maybe some vibranium needles that won't break on them like the previous one did, to get She-Hulk's blood. Again, it's still up in the air who exactly the secret villain could be, but some of the options that fans are going off right now is that Tony Stark wannabe billionaire playboy. He was super fascinated with She-Hulk and was even asking her questions about what pierces her skin, like vibranium. He could be trying to use his money to get some powers. Another one is Abomination. We know he's going to show back up again later in this show. He could be faking being good now that he's out, wants some She-Hulk blood, but I think that's unlikely. In the end, it could most likely be the leader, who we already know is confirmed to be coming back, and maybe he just needs She-Hulk's blood all this time because he hasn't been mobile. We know what happened to him in The Incredible Hulk is supposed to enhance his intelligence a lot, but maybe it affected his mobility. He can't move around, he's paralyzed, or his powers aren't all the way there, and he needs She-Hulk's blood to kind of complete himself. I mean, if we go back to The Incredible Hulk, he was someone that was studying blood a lot, so it would make sense that he would be going after her. Nevertheless, now, you've seen me gush over this show and explain to you why I like it and where I see it going, but at the same time, I am not blaming the people who are upset and frustrated with She-Hulk, because I can feel that a little bit. Now again, I want to make this clear. If you're someone that doesn't like She-Hulk, I'm not saying that automatically makes you a misogynist or someone who just hates it because of women and woke and whatever. No. Plenty of you guys leave great, actual constructive criticism in the comments for the show, for like plot holes or why the jokes don't work or how it just doesn't fit into the MCU. And that type of criticism I love to hear from you guys, because sometimes y'all have really good points. It's just the people that are clearly being a-holes and have their own insecurities and agendas that I'm like, bro, just come on. Really? So for my level-headed people that aren't idiots, that are not liking She-Hulk, I understand why, man. This is now like the 5th time they end the episode with teasing something bigger and then ignoring it the next episode, right? We started off with Hulk going to space. That was a big tease. Never talked about again. Then we had the Wrecking Crew attack Jennifer Walters in an alley, trying to steal her blood, saying, oh, the boss is gonna be mad. Ignore the next episode, not talked about again. Then we have the Daredevil helmet. That was like one of the biggest teas, was one of the things to really bump up She-Hulk. Got a lot of people watching this episode, I bet. Again, not addressed and ignored. Now you're doing it again with the end of this episode, giving us a smaller glimpse to maybe who was going ahead and wanting to go inject Jennifer Walters and steal her blood. It is the continued pattern that I hate with these Marvel's Disney Plus series, that they just tease a big villain over and over and over again. Then by the last episode in a show that is only 30 minutes long, you introduce them, you explain their motive, why they're here, the show's over, and we're all unsatisfied and unhappy. I'm telling you, man, next episode is the time. Just introduce this villain. Let us play in his world for a little bit. Understand what's going on. If you're gonna wait till episode 9 to reveal who is behind that syringe, oh, I'm not going to blame fans for saying this show sucks, for calling it another formulaic Disney Plus series, because it's going to be hard to defend it after that when you've done it so many times. It's a frustrating experience, and I get it. How are MCU fans expected not to feel like we want these Easter eggs, we want these big earth-shattering events, when you're dangling the carrot in front of us at the end of every episode, making us feel like that's what we should expect? So look, I completely get the people who hate this show, but I'm also being honest with you guys. Even with those frustrations, I like this show. I like Jennifer Walters. I like the story arc they're going on. They're making me like the side characters. Daredevil's still coming. It's not garbage or even a bottom tier show for me, but it is just another continuing showcase that Marvel is not changing up their formula with these shows, and it could end up being another one with a disappointing finale, but I hope not. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode of She-Hulk, where your positives, your negatives lie, how you're dealing with the show. I love hearing from you guys, as long as you're not being an a-hole. At the end of everything, be sure to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.